Welcome to Wine and Chill with Shanice Danielle. It's your girl, Shanice Danielle. This week I'm back with episode 2 with my lovely co-host, Luke. Say hello to the people.
What's good, people?
And today we have really good hot topics, but first let's talk about this wine. Luke, tell us what we have today.
We have Fit Wine Sauvignon Blanc, bottled in 2017, y'all.
It's pretty strong. Let's hope we don't get too tipsy from it by the end. But whatever, if we do, it's fine. Don't judge us.
We're very fancy tonight, y'all.
Tonight, we're going to talk about voting week coming up. All right, everyone's going to vote on Tuesday, today, right? So what we're going to do is talk about different topics and try to see if it's worth the vote. Because we know millennials, how we can be. Sometimes people don't want to leave their bed, and sometimes they don't think it's worth it, like their voice isn't valid. So I want to make sure we talk about different things, and trust me, by the end, you'll reconsider if you're thinking about staying home. So today, let's start off with Don Lemon. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I heard a lot of things about it.
It's crazy. Don Lemon has his show on CNN called The Don Lemon Show, as everyone knows. And he basically said on an episode that white men are the biggest threat to America. Basically talking about the things that happened with the mass shootings within like the last 2 weeks. We've been hearing different things. And he just got angry and just spoke his mind. And it seems like Twitter didn't like it too much. So what did you think about that, what he said, and how Twitter reacted?
Well, he isn't that wrong when you look at things, because if you look at like all the mass shooters, in recent times, it's really kind of light there, what I mean? And as far as Twitter, I just expect Twitter just to go off, because no matter what you say, no one's going to be happy.
It's always somebody, right?
Someone's always going to have something smart to say, but, live your best life, say what you want to do, But I just can't help but to think of like this meme where it's like, white men are dangerous, but me also, white men. And like they're interested because he has a white boyfriend. Yeah. And so I'm like, I wonder how his boyfriend felt like that. And I wonder if his boyfriend was like, babe,
he was the one
look at all these crazy white people. Look at all these crazy white people. Put that on your story. But
exactly, it's crazy.
He should be able to say whatever he wants to. People not prosecute him or send him death threats, try to get him fired. Like, this is what's going on in the world, whether you like it or not. And, like, if you're not looking at it, like, you're just being blind, because this is what's happening. This is what everybody's seeing, Our First Amendment right is freedom of speech. Exactly.
So how is he wrong for speaking his mind? What he's seeing as a black man in America, he's seeing numerous things going on. He's seeing other races, other cultures being pinpointed for these mass shootings in a way. They're like, oh, the terrorists of America might be, like, Indian or Saudi Arabian, anything but white. And I think Don just had his, last end of it. He was like, look, the reality is between seeing Dylan Roof, on the headlines, killing these innocent black people in the church. Everybody from, the Florida shooting that happened, school shootings.
Yeah.
School shootings where people should feel safe. Kids should feel safe.
Young little kids.
And they're over here pinpointing at every other race but the white man. I don't think Don's lying here. I don't think he's trying to push a racial agenda. I think he has every right to be mad, because when do you see any other race in America really harming adults or kids who were like first graders, kindergartners?
I mean, well, they're out there. Let's just put that
I'm
there.
not saying
they're out there, but like historically speaking, like let's go way back. Before America was really the United States of America, who was here? The Native Americans.
Exactly.
Who came over here and terrorized them
and stole and claimed.
Okay.
Yeah.
White people. Mm-hmm. And then, who bought slaves in, from these
You better
African
preach, because there are no lies told here. You're preaching.
And who went and then terrorized them for another 100 years, more than 100 years. Yeah. And it's just like, white people. And so it's just like, it's very accurate, you know what I mean? It's like, this is what's been going on now. It's just being brought out to light, because now we have social media, you know what I mean? Like, your voice could carry so much further than what it could before. Yeah, I just think America is very delusional in terms of racism and, stereotypes, things like that. Very delusional. For instance, like with Donald Trump and trying to deport, Mexican people and Spanish people. I think that's so messed up. And it kind of goes hand in hand for me, because I feel like people think it's okay to just disregard people and just to kick people out like they're a piece of dirt. And no one's a piece of dirt in the land of the free. I'm confused. So when Don gets mad about certain topics that happen in our world or our country, he has every right to be upset.
Because, for instance, like you said, Native Americans came here first. They created America. They've been here. And, you're trying to deport people, dealing with Trump.
Yeah.
Trying to deport people. Shouldn't white people be deported then, since they over here stealing land and trying to claim they weren't even the originators of this? You know what I mean? So it's like, how can you be so delusional about what's going on in this country? The Trump era, I call it. How can you be delusional? I feel like Don Lemon is not wrong for calling out what we've all been thinking. Every picture we've seen with mass shootings, let's be real, white men. When will it stop?
It probably won't, because white people are crazy.
Exactly. And to be honest, it's just a crazy thing, because white people are going to help white people. And that's just what I believe. Like, they're just going to protect people regardless. That deals with police brutality as well. They're going to always have the other white person's back. And instead of saying, Don, you might be right, we might have to change some things in our country with racism. Let's start progressing. Instead of that, they try to beat the man up verbally on Twitter. And that's our problem in America.
Luke just wants to put it out there that Luke is half white. Luke
Buddy
is
white
also,
though. Buddy white though.
I'm also half Puerto Rican, which I was raised around. But yeah, I'm crazy, so don't mess with me. But I definitely feel like everything that you're saying, because like I noticed it. You know what I mean? Like I see it every day happening. It's like people shouldn't be prosecuted for what they're saying, and it's like these things are happening. You know what I mean? Like when I get pulled over, I'm still scared. You know what I mean? Like I'm scared. If I have, a white officer man come approach me, he's asking me for my license and got the flashlight in my I'm like, what did I do? Like, am I a criminal right now?
And as a black woman, it's scary. I can be
imagine.
blasting music. I'll be honest. I'll be blasting music. See a cop car, I turn it down because I don't want attention toward me in my car. You just never know. And the fact that there's a threat like that in our minds when we're just trying to run an errand or whatever the case may be is a problem. So I do believe the white man is a threat to America. Could be a harm to America. I'm not saying for a fact a harm, but could be. If we don't progress as a country and unify, I feel like the white man will definitely become a threat even more. Let's just say that. It'll get even more dangerous for
We're
us.
a melting pot society, and I really feel like, we need to come together and, like, really work together to solve these problems. You know what I mean? It starts by, having an open dialogue and, being honest about the problems that are, going on today.
That's the thing. No one's honest. Everyone wants to act like, oh, we're
It's not happening.
land of the free. We're all equal. But how come all of us don't feel that way then? How come we feel like we're visitors or foreign to our own country?
Well, why does my bank account look different than the 1%'s bank account? Because it doesn't feel equal there.
Exactly. So we can admit that Don Lemon is not lying here. There's some realness to it. 1,000%.
There's a lot of truth to what he's saying. You know what I mean? You can't be mad at him for pointing out what's going on.
Like the elephant in the room, yeah. He's calling out the awkward things we need to talk about as a country.
Yeah, that a lot of news outlets are too scared to air.
Exactly. Like Fox, I know Fox News is mad at Don Lemon.
I'm sure they are. Corrupt as they are.
Right? So what's the next topic, Luke?
All right, so our next topic is Maxine Waters.
I love Auntie Maxine.
She feels like, she kind of got a target on her head because of all the things that Donald Trump has been saying and doing, recent times.
And I believe she said that she feels Trump is violent or promoting violence for America. And I think that's true.
Absolutely.
I think the President Obama era, we were embracing equality, embracing the melting pot. And I think the Trump era is just showing us all the racism that's within certain ignorant people in this country. I think the Trump era is showing us true colors of what's going on, unfortunately.
Trump is an embarrassment to this country.
He's like...
He absolutely incites violence. He says controversial things, towards women, different ethnic groups, and it's just honestly ridiculous. Like, I don't get how he's still president. I don't get how he gets away with saying these crazy things. Maxine Waters, like, I love her. Like, I'd be on Instagram, seeing all her videos and memes.
She's so likable, and I think Trump hates that she's so likable. She's
so
someone who's for the people, and I think she's authentic in what she does in politics and her personal beliefs, just for the people. That's my auntie for sure, like imaginary auntie, but still, like.
And that's why Trump, I think, attacks her, because she brings people together. And I think that scares him because he finds power in dividing people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she finds her voice in bringing people together. You know what I mean? And that's what she's really good at. You know what I mean? She's so good at motivating, people, and especially young people. Because, people like me and you, our age, millennials, as people like to call it, we like her. We see her. We know who she is. You know what I mean? We don't like Trump. Millennials
Because
don't
she's like
Trump.
that auntie that you see on Thanksgiving, giving you that, spiritual guidance.
You got the pie, auntie?
Yeah, exactly.
You got the pie. Okay.
And Trump's just mad because no one would invite him
No one
to
wants
his Thanksgiving
casserole.
table. You know
No
what I
one
mean?
wants
His
his
stale.
dry turkey.
Exactly. No one wants it.
Gobble, gobble out my
Non-seasoned chicken, turkey.
Right.
So, Luke, can you
It
read
is
the
probably
quote
salty,
for us?
though, y'all. The quote. Okay, so this is a quote that Maxine Waters said, okay? All of us who are targeted simply saying that the President of the United States is taking the country in the wrong direction. It is dangerous that it is decisive, and he continues to dog whistle to his... Damn, I cannot read today, so moving forward, saying that he's promoting violence out there. So...
I definitely,
we might have to redo that. That was really bad.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Moving
I barely know how
forward.
to say that word either. It's fine. We just gonna call it the blank word.
The blank word, y'all.
But do you feel Trump is intentionally promoting violence?
I absolutely think he's intentionally promoting violence. I think that he sits there on Twitter with his Twitter fingers, and he's like, how am I going to stir the pot up today?
That's what's weird to me. Who gives him the phone? You're supposed to be the president in the White House. Basically, I'm not going to say chambered, but you should be in that White House imprisoning yourself, okay, to work on the issues in this country. And he's busy in his bed, like, tweeting every freaking hour when you think about it. It's like, how do you have this much time? I don't recall Barack ever really being on Twitter like that all the time.
No, because he doesn't actually do anything that a president should really be doing. He just kind of goes on his golf course and then tries to undo everything that Obama did to, give us progression.
I mean, that's the main reason why he was put in office. I feel we had the, black president and we were all having a great unified time. And then all of a sudden, Republicans were like, oh, you have to get in there and get back to Jim Crow era kind of stuff.
The racists
That's
were
the vibe
so
I get.
upset. They were so upset when Obama
Of
became
course.
president. And
It's
when
a white
Trump,
man's country, right?
Exactly. And that's why when Trump started running and saying, all this crazy stuff, they're like, it's my opportunity. No, it's not your opportunity, because we will smack you personally, Luke.
Exactly. And, Trump's parents were a part of the KKK.
Really?
So, yeah.
See, that's news for me.
It's facts, y'all. His family is a part of the KKK, so that's why I believe his agenda is to bring violence to the forefront. He wants to divide. He wants to take us back to the 1950s, back to the Jim Crow era in the South. We're all feeling that Southern divide, literally, right now, I feel, as a country.
Absolutely.
So, it's ridiculous.
So, just a moment. Make sure you vote tomorrow or today. Voting is very important. We need to make sure that we're continuing to progress forward, not backwards.
Exactly. If we keep having these ignorant Republicans in office and just, overall in our Congress and everything like that, we're not going to have any progress. So that's why it's so important that we don't regress, okay?
Progression.
Yeah.
Please. Move forward. Let's
Exactly.
unite, not divide, okay? We are stronger together, not as one, okay? I mean, not by one.
But do
Can't
you
talk.
think that Trump's sinister ways will scare the millennials from going into the office
No, I
to vote?
think Trump's sinister ways motivates young people. Like, wow, I really need to get out there and I really need to make my voice heard. Because a lot of the times, young people don't go out and vote, and you know what happens? You have all these people who are retired go out and vote, and they're voting for their best interests, which are old time views. Retirement homes. They're not voting, for anything progression. They're not voting for, school budgets. They're voting for their preservation of the way they used to think and the way they used to live. And that's just not what's going on with the times right now.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to another topic that kind of deals with everything we're talking about, kind of tying everything in. Danye Jones. I don't know if you've heard about that one, that
Yes,
story.
it's really sad.
That story that angers me, really. Basically, 24-year-old Danye Jones, son of a Ferguson activist, Melissa McKinney's, was found dead hanging from a tree in the backyard of their home, and I believe it was in St. Louis, right?
Louis,
St.
yes.
Louis. And when I heard this story, it's not getting a lot of media coverage. I'm not really surprised because if it's a minority, they're not going to talk about it. But I saw it on social media and I was like, let me look at this story and get more information and just try to understand what was going on, because this shook me when I heard about this. Hanging from a tree, 2018. What year are we in?
So, like, what research did you come upon when you started getting into the topic?
I mainly just saw that, the police investigation said that they feel like it was a suicide, that he hung himself from a tree. Exactly, hung himself from a tree. And come on. And his mother feels it's opposite. She's like, there has to be modern day lynching going on, basically, is what she's saying. And I totally agree. How about you?
I absolutely agree. I spent some time out in St. Louis. My mother was living out in St. Louis for a while, and she got into a skiing accident, so I was there, for a month taking care of her. And I got to experience St. Louis in a way that I normally wouldn't have. So I was out in the streets in St. Louis, and I noticed how segregated it was. Like, it was literally going back, 65 years, You have the areas where you have, your rich white folks, and then you have the areas where there's minorities, and there's not really like a mixing of that going on. And like, for me, when I went there, like, I like to have multiracial friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, I'm taking, my friend, who is a black man with me to, this white part of Missouri in Chesterfield, and we went to, the IHOP out there. And it's like when people saw me and him together out there, like, I could literally, like, cut the tension with a knife. It was just like, I felt the stares.
Like they're still stuck in sad historical times, basically.
People were looking at us like we're crazy to be doing this.
What is this? What time are we in? That just upsets me that is so shocking to them. I feel like they live in this igloo of ignorance. This bubble of, Jim Crow racism. Like, he's supposed to go to this water fountain and he's supposed to go to that one. Like, that kind of divide. And that's sad.
And so that's why I'm really not surprised that, like, this hasn't got a lot of media coverage because, a lot of the times, you have these towns, who are ran by, white people. Their elected officials are white people. And they're probably sitting there trying to hush it, this didn't happen. But realistically, it did happen. Someone was out there and they basically, lynch him. It's a modern day lynching because out there, the racial tension is crazy. And it's just like, people out there are capable of this. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's unfortunate.
This goes through their minds out there. And it's like, it's not right. And, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be heard. And it just bothers me so much that people are trying to be hush-hush about it and then say it's a suicide.
Yeah, but, that goes back to the racial delusion in this country, really. It goes back to that. Because instead of saying, like, this seems pretty fishy, like, why would someone think that someone would hang themselves from a tree?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what's so disturbing to me. It's just modern day lynching. And no one wants to say that word because it sounds so, throwback, so, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And the reality is that times haven't really changed.
Not with Trump as president.
Exactly. And in the South, just modern day lynching going on with, there was 2 other people from the Ferguson, and basically what happened was they were killed as well. I didn't even know that till I did my research, over the weekend. And I was just like, there's a pattern here going on. Ferguson activists, found dead. Clearly it's over standing up for themselves and the police brutality going on in the world, or country, actually, not even the world, just the USA. And we just have to realize there's a pattern here, and we have to stop protecting our country, acting like we're so perfect all the time.
We're not.
Because guess what? We're not. Just say it out loud. Someone hung him. That's the fact. I have a feeling in my gut that's a fact. Come on, no one's stupid.
Well, let's be real. This boy's not going to be out here hanging himself. Who does that? Like, really, who does that?
Exactly. His mom comes home and he's hung from a tree.
No.
How disgusting.
A tree of all things.
Because black people want to stand up for themselves. It's a big deal. It's so bad for us to want to look out for our lives. Our lives matter. And that's crazy that people can't even say Black Lives Matter. So for me, it's pretty disturbing and disgusting that people protect and cover this case like they constantly do. With Trayvon Martin, they try to say, oh, well, he was a thug with a hood on. And Michael Brown, oh, he was this big guy in a store. Oh, he had bad grades.
Notice how whenever it's a black person, they always try to give them the
Find.
most intimidating storyline and like make them seem like such a criminal. But when you have, these white men who are out here shooting schools, and, doing all these other things, they give them the most sympathetic storylines,
It's facts, nothing but facts. Because the reality is that they want to have a negative propaganda on media for minority men. It's honest. It's real. And that's why it's just so disturbing to me that we're in 2018. We're supposed to progress as a country, right? But yet we see something like this, a mother having to find her 24-year-old son hung on a tree like he's an animal, he doesn't matter.
You have to think about it, like, he's around our age, so it's like, he's basically our peer, and so it's just like someone so young having to go through this in America today is just so sad and, so depressing that we're still going through these things and we can't, move forward and be a better country.
Like, Malcolm X once said, he said, stand for something or fall for anything. I'm not falling for anything. And I'm standing up right now. You're standing up right now being vocal and saying, let's be real. It's not a suicide. Someone hung this man. And there's modern day lynching. So, as a country, we either unify or I guess we're back to that divide of disagreeing. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to agree with such a disturbing tragedy.
Let me tell y'all something, America. We need to get together ASAP because Russia is trying to blow us up any day now. And
Trump's probably in on that too.
He probably is. Him and Putin are like boo things.
Exactly.
But yeah, we need to do better, y'all. Like seriously, let's do better.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like as a country, regardless of what we agree on, what we disagree on, you know what I mean? We can come together for issues like this.
For each other.
I'm so sorry that a mother had to lose her son, that way. And I'm so sorry that as a country, we still haven't progressed much. It's pretty unfortunate, but hopefully one day we can all have a discussion, black, white, Spanish, all of us, and just unify against the human Cheeto, which I call Trump.
Oh my God, stale Cheetos, y'all.
Yeah, see, stale,
Expired.
Exactly. Anyway, what's the next topic, Luke?
Our next topic is dating topics. So we're gonna discuss the hot topic of ghosting and are millennials able to commit in relationships these days?
So, Luke, have you ever been ghosted on?
I can't say that I have been ghosted before, but I definitely ghosted a few people in my day.
So why did you ghost them? What made you say, you know what, I'm done. I don't even want to try to make this work with this person?
Well, let me be completely real. The people who I usually do ghost are people that I never met in real life. Okay.
You got a description in mind, like.
So it's usually people that I just talk to on social media. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I feel like I have a right to ghost them because I haven't met you yet. I haven't invested any of my daily time, money or whatever into you. And if you show me something that's a red flag, why should I sit there and invest all this time explaining to you? Then you want to get mad at me, yell at me, or curse me out on Instagram.
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to ignore you and pretend you don't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can understand that. If you haven't met them yet in person, because it's okay, we're talking verbally, not even hanging out, but we're texting, and we're getting to know each other, but there's no emotional attachment yet.
No spark.
So it's we only started talking for 3 weeks, so it's we're not vibing. I'm just gonna kind of dead it, you know what I mean? Let it go. And but have you ever ghosted someone that you were vibing with?
Well, not per se, but it's vibes change. So if your vibe is different and I feel we are no longer compatible, mm-hmm. then I might have to ghost you. I wouldn't sit there and straight up not tell you. I would sit there and be listen, X, Y, and Z, I don't want to, I don't want to associate ourselves mm-hmm. that together anymore, or speak the way we did before. And then that's that. If you keep trying to talk to me after then you're gonna get ghosted. Yeah. You feel me? But I'll at least give you, your fair respect. So
you do communicate a little bit.
A little bit. If I met you in person, I actually invested personal time to it, not just my thumbs and stuff. But
actually hanging out.
Yeah, actually hanging out.
Having an in-depth vibe together, really. You know what I mean? But I don't like when people ghost and don't communicate. That irks me so bad. Because it's like, how old are we? I feel like when you're in your 20s, going on to your 30s and everything like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There should be honest communication, regardless if it hurts the person. Just be honest instead of just disappearing, because then it's like, then they reappear. That's what gets me. It's not about the ghosting itself. It's the rebirth.
The rebirth.
Okay? Coming back
The
to
resurrection.
life.
The resurrection.
Back to the light. What's up with that? I find that strange. Can you explain that? Have you ever resurrected?
I don't resurrect things because when you're in the grave, you need to stay in the grave. Okay, when it's been dead, it's dead.
I feel you.
Okay?
It's like, why reflect?
But people like to just pop back up from their graves, and like I had that happen to me, and it's just like I just feel like people get bored and they want something to entertain themselves with, and so they find you a easy piece of entertainment, unfortunately. And so then they decide to pop back in whenever it's convenient, just like, hey, what's been going on? And you're just like, I could have swore I buried you like 6 months ago.
But when you resurrect yourself, I automatically think you're crazy. I do. I'm like, this person I can't even deal with because something ain't right about them. Like, why do you feel like it's okay to just disappear off planet Earth, reappear and not even have any purpose to be there? It's like you're just playing a game all over again, and it's like, wow, we're too grown for that at this point. That's just how I feel.
I think some people also lack like loyalty, and I think like they go to wherever the attention is the most. You know what I mean? So like whoever is showing them the most attention at whatever time, they're gonna lean towards that person. It's just like, as an adult, you know what I mean? Like we're busy, sometimes like we can't give you 100% all the time.
But then that's the power of communication. It takes 2 seconds to say like, hey, I may not be too present right now, but I'm still interested. Just give me some time because I'm just trying to get myself together. Even that I'd respect before just disappearing on me.
But you see, the problem is with people is when you do that, they're just like, well, okay, I respect that you told me that, but I'm left in this void of, no communication, not having this attention that I crave. And then they go to someone else.
Yeah.
And then, now they're just like, well, you're over there and I'm just going to forget about you.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep on forgetting about you until whatever they got going on now is going to die down.
I just feel like, I've been on the end of ghosting myself sometimes.
Ghosted.
And, I honestly felt bad about ghosting because I was like thinking about in the perspective of what if that was me? Mm-hmm. It's like even if I wasn't satisfied in a certain situation, I can communicate more. So it's like now the older I get, I try to communicate the best way I can, even if it makes me or the person uncomfortable. Because it's like, I just feel like we're too mature at this point in our lives to be confusing and purposely, trying to hurt people. And I've also been ghosted before. I had situations where I've been ghosted and that hurt me, but I feel like you grow wiser through those situations. You're like, okay, this person's crazy. Move along. So it really depends.
I feel like, we're at the age, you know what I mean? We're not super young, but we're not super old. And time is really of the essence for us. So I will say this, you know what I mean? Live your best life and make sure that whoever you're talking to is making you happy. And if they're not, you need to communicate that and continue on.
Now, I have another question branching off.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you're not completely satisfied with the person, do you give them another chance? Like, say, this is what's going on. This is what's pissing me off. Point A, point B, point C. Would you sit there and talk to them about it? Or would you say, I'm about to ghost them because you know what? I'm not
Depends on how much I like the person.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, did I see potential investment in this person? You know what I mean? Like, can I see like they're willing to change if I bring up these problems and discuss it, like a mature adult?
Yeah.
Or do I just see like this continuing being a problem no matter what I do or say? You know what I mean? But even then, I feel like if you're talking to a person and you invested actual time, like you guys physically hang it out, you physically hang out with each other, you go out on dates and X, Y, and Z. It's not just, an Instagram,
Like
buddy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like you owe that person, the respect. If you do lose interest or they're not fulfilling your needs, that you should be able to adequately communicate that to them. And then if you don't want to stop talking to them, then that's okay. But like you shouldn't just stop all communication after you guys went on like 3 different dates, that y'all chilled and went out for drinks and met your friends or whatever the case is.
So valuable lesson, guys. Do not ghost on people. Okay? Have communication. It's okay. We're old enough where people should be able to take the heat in the kitchen. Feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, something's going on, tell them, like, this is what's going on. I might be busy, or I'm not completely satisfied with what's going on between us. Either improve it or just say, I don't want to deal with you anymore. But come on, have a heart, because guess what? That karma is strong, baby. That karma is strong.
And listen, y'all, if that person can't sit there and try to fix some of the things that are bothering you, then don't be afraid to move on.
Yeah, walk away.
Don't let no one make you stagnant in your life. You should feel free and like you could do anything, even while you're in a relationship with someone. You know, just because you're with someone doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to hang out with your friends or, you know, handle, you know, other hobbies or interests, you know, outside of relationship.
Exactly. So one more topic we have today.
Okay.
In 2018, are dating apps basically a good way to meet people, or is it just a safety net for people?
Depends on what you're looking for the night.
That's true. You're right.
As a person who has a few dating apps, I really feel like they don't do much to help me meet people meaningful. Like, don't get me wrong, like I have met a few great people that I'm still, you know, friends with to this day on there, but like I think the chances of, you know, you finding someone that you're gonna marry on there is very slim.
Yeah.
But
Unless you go on Christian Mingle or something.
Even then, you know, divorce rates in this country
Yeah.
are ridiculous. And, you know, you shouldn't put too much faith in a relationship app, you know.
Yeah.
They're usually like hookup apps.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson in a way. I've been on, you know, different apps like Bumble and stuff like that. And I would go in there hoping to find Prince Charming. I'm not going to lie. And every time I just felt like I dealt with somebody who was a little bit either crazy, or they just didn't, you know, find a way to have a middle ground of, you know, keeping up with what I wanted, I guess. And I'm just like, every time it kind of disappoints me. I met some cool people on there, and, you know, I'm not going to knock it completely, but I do think that it can be a safety net a little bit if you're like afraid to get out there and meet people in person, because that's kind of rare these days, meeting people in person. When you really think about it, people, when they go out, they're kind of like social with their groups. Millennials, we're not as social as we could be. You know what I mean? That's why I think we all run the dating apps, because it's just such a safety net to just meet someone without having to face them directly immediately.
I mean, I think that's okay a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's perfectly fine, you know, to download a dating app and, you know, go through it, but like that shouldn't be like your only option, you know what I mean? Like, you should still go out with your friends, you know, go different places and meet different people, and you shouldn't put too much faith in it, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be able to find your Prince Charming, because of course, you know, we all download the app, we're flicking through the pictures, like, I'm going to find someone today. And you probably usually don't. But, you know, every once in a while you might find someone who's interesting, but, you know, that shouldn't be your only way of finding people, you know, and I think that's a problem. I think a lot of people, they put too much faith in their dating apps, and they forget how to actually go out and interact with people one-to-one.
Because it's like, I don't know about you, but I love meeting people in person. I feel like it's a different vibe. I feel like it flows naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to me, I'm not knocking online dating, but I do feel like at times it can be less authentic.
It's very
rare you find a bond on there. Let's just say that. But in person, it feels not magical. That's cliche, you know?
Yeah.
But it does feel a different kind of special, if that makes sense.
It flows better. It's like when you meet someone like on a dating app, like I don't know about you all, but like I have done it, you know, whatever. But sometimes there's like this awkward like energy in the room, and it's just like, it's very unsettling. But like when you meet people in person, it's like you could feel out their vibes, you know, as you go along, and you're not stuck, you know, with any expectations, you know, for the night. And so it's just like you could vibe out and have fun and, you know, decide whether your energies match.
Asking questions all the time online, it feels like an interview sometimes.
No, I don't do interviews online.
Oh, excuse me.
I don't send extra pictures. You get a link to my Instagram account, and then you can figure out everything from there.
Bougie, y'all. Bougie. Let me stop.
Please don't hit me up on my dating app asking me crazy questions or for more pictures, because you will just get an Instagram link and they'll be all your pictures are right there for you.
Ooh. Okay. And quickly, one more thing. Dealing with that, do you think that millennials have a hard time committing?
I think it's a complicated answer just because I feel like we're a little scared to commit, but we want to commit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a different ball game from when our parents were younger. You know what I mean? Like, when my mom was my age, I'm 26. She was married and pregnant with, had one kid pregnant with the other.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm 26, and I'm just like, I'm single right now. I don't want to think about that right now. But like, yeah, so like, I think like we're scared because it's a different time, you know, like there's so many expectations for us to, you know, make all this money so young, you know, a loop so young, you know, start having kids so young.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but we're not getting the same pay. You know what I mean? Like, it's harder for us to, you know, get these jobs
ourselves together. Yeah, that's what's really happening.
And so, like, I don't think that we're afraid to commit. I think we're trying to find the right time to commit. You know what I mean? It's like we have to make sure that if we're going to commit, that it's 100%. Like, I know divorce rates in this country are so high, but I don't want to be one of those people that get divorced.
Yeah.
Like, once I'm married,
That's
we're
how
together.
I feel too. Yeah.
Okay, someone's going to help me pay this mortgage.
I feel
Okay.
you.
I don't want to pay a mortgage on my own.
So, really quick for the people before we head on out, why should the millennial generation vote?
If you don't vote, you know, how would the world for the future that we live in be beneficial to you? Because if you're having all these older generations vote, they're voting for their best interests. And realistically speaking, 15, 20 years, a lot of them are not going to be around, but their policies and their thoughts are going to be around because they voted and you didn't. So as young people, we need to make sure that we're going out there and we're changing the world on how it's going to work for us and how we want it for our future, because that's what matters. It's our future. It's our time, you know, to make our voices heard.
And most importantly, guys, you have a voice, all right? We were born to speak, to have voices. And, you know, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, people did not fight for our right to vote and our freedom for you to stay at home in your bed and be lazy and feel some type of way for some odd reason. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to be vocal to change how our system, how our country flows? That's what I find crazy, because I'm like, I love having a voice.
Yes.
You know, I love being able to vote and have the power to say, this is who I want in office. This is who I want to, you know, change and run our country, really. So realize, guys, you have a voice, and it's a beautiful thing to have. All right?
Take a selfie, go down to your voting area, make it a thing, okay? Get other young people to go in there and vote. You know, I'm going to go down there looking all cute. I got a haircut. I'm going to put my fur coat on, and I'm going to be like,
And be fly.
my opinion matters.
So on that note, thank you, Luke, for being on once again. You better show up next week. I'm going to say this every week to make sure you show up.
Thank you.
And thank you to our wine and chillers at home for supporting and watching the show tonight. I'm your girl, Shanice Danielle. See you next week. Peace.
Peace.